Alright, what's going on, guys? Try back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my video review for the first saga of Dragon Ball Z. I've decided that I'm going to go ahead and do, rather than not just a review of Dragon Ball Z overall, because that's pretty hard to do to review the entire series. I have done one of those, but people requested that I do more specified videos and that, more specific, on each saga independently, so I thought it's a good idea. Why don't I get started with the first saga in Dragon Ball Z, the Saiyan, or sometimes referred to as Vegeta Saga. Alright, good stuff. So this one is kind of hard to break down in terms of episode number. It depends which version you're watching. If you're watching Dragon Ball Kai, it's episode 1 to 26. If you're watching original Dragon Ball Z English dub, 1 to 28. And then there was also the secondary dub that was done later that for some reason is longer. I think they just kind of stretched it out quite a bit. And that one's 39 episodes. So it's quite a bit different. But basically the overall story is the same for each. It's just the pacing with a few things removed from Dragon Ball Kai, but not that many. Sometimes later on, Kai has more things that have been removed. The Saiyan Saga for Kai is much the same as it is for Dragon Ball Z, the original. So that said, what do I think about the first saga in Dragon Ball Z? Well, basically, out of all the sagas in Dragon Ball Z, this one for me is... Some people, it's their absolute favorite. I've heard people say in comments, it's my favorite saga. My favorite fight is the first Vegeta versus Goku fight. It's epic, and that's their favorite one. And I don't disagree with you. It is epic as hell. It's really, really crazy to see the first time you see it. Compared to what we were used to up to that point in watching the original Dragon Ball, which was more of like an action-adventure type show, I'd say more of an adventure show. This one right here becomes less adventure, more just... straight on action, fighting, huge battles, intergalactic, just throwdown. So it basically takes what we had in Dragon Ball with that same kind of feel, and it expands the universe, not to just be focused on Earth mainly, but to sort of look outward. We have the inclusion of the Saiyan race. Now, I believe before Dragon Ball Z started, we didn't know anything about Saiyan or what Goku was, or that he wasn't human, or that we knew he was different. I mean, he had a tail, but we didn't know exactly what he was. In Dragon Ball Z, the first saga, Saiyan Saga, we find out very quickly who he is, what he is, where he was from originally, what happened to him, well, to a certain extent, and what he is basically, which is a Saiyan, of course, through the exposition with Raditz kind of explaining what he was supposed to be doing, and in fact he was got a bump on the head and actually became a good person rather than the way Saiyans normally are, which are like conquerors basically of planets, right? So that was a huge transition right there, to go from where we were at in Dragon Ball to, in the Saiyan Saga, a universal platform where you have aliens, they're coming to Earth. We start with Raditz, and then after that, of course, we get Nappa and Vegeta and the Saba men. They're little, I guess you call them like organic... they're kind of like foot soldiers type of thing that they'll put out there just to kind of increase their numbers and allow them to deal with weaker type of people, or weaker creatures on different planets while they work on other things or whatever they're doing. Kind of like a fighting tool, I guess you could say the Cybermen are. So we go from that that kind of adventure-ish to the straight-on fighting in this one, and basically right off the bat with Raditz, we have the first battle and everything. Well, a couple little ones with Goku and everything, and Gohan is taken. Raditz, Goku goes after him. Piccolo helps out, and between the two of them, they're able to defeat Raditz, but not with both of them leaving intact. Piccolo uses his special beam cannon, which is one of the highlights of the Saiyan Saga for me, and basically kills both Raditz and Goku in the process. So they essentially come to the conclusion this is really the only shot they have. He's too powerful, and Goku sacrifices himself in order to save his son and Piccolo, and basically the planet from Raditz doing whatever he essentially wants to do, because Piccolo and Goku at that time, I guess you can consider Gohan kind of too, are the most powerful beings on the planet. So if they can't stop him, nobody else is really going to be able to stop him. So Dragon Ball Z right off the bat starts off at a huge power level compared to the predecessor Dragon Ball with Raditz. Then Vegeta and Nappa come, and the power level is driven up even higher. It's over 9,000. Goku's even stronger. He did his thing in the afterlife, of course, comes back to life, while the others kind of just delay for him and try to stay alive against Nappa and Vegeta, even though they stand absolutely no chance. Then Goku shows up, defeats Nappa with relative ease, and then we get the back and forth battle with Vegeta. We have Goku going at Vegeta, then we have Gohan. We have the Uzaru thing where they transform. Goku of course can't because he had his tail cut off a long time ago, which is weird because in GT this is why GT makes no sense. They have to get to Super Saiyan 4, they have to transform, and then don't they have to go back down or whatever? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Let's just put it that way. GT makes no sense. But with regards to this, of course he can't. Gohan can, so he does. Krillin, you've got Tien, you've even got Yajirobe, all these characters in there doing the best they can, and it's really cool at the beginning how you have, this super power character like Vegeta that Goku can't defeat one-on-one, but with the help of all of his supporting cast, all of the other Z fighters, Piccolo and everybody, they were able to together defeat him, just using different tactics, using intelligence, and finally beating him, but allowing him to leave without killing him. Even though at the end, it's kind of funny how it really comes down to Krillin as being the one to have the chance to actually kill Vegeta with something as simple as a sword. And Goku, of course, informs him not to, and basically Vegeta takes off. So that's essentially the Saiyan Saga in a nutshell of what we see. I mean, obviously there's a lot of back and forth fighting in it, different characters fighting, the Saiyaman and Tien, Piccolo, Gohan, all the rest. There's some training, before that battle takes place, and then of course there is afterwards the journey to Namek for the Dragon Balls. So in terms of this saga versus a lot of the others, it's not my personal favorite from Dragon Ball Z. I think it's a fantastic saga when you consider where we went from to where we are. Like consider where Dragon Ball ended and where the Saiyan Saga and Dragon Ball Z ended. When they finish, that time in between, the time that the saga has, the evolution of the story from the one to the other is pretty amazing. When you think about what we learn about Goku, you think about what we get to see in it, and the way it gets us started off with this, with Dragon Ball Z and this whole universal, not just Earth, but universal, and even afterlife type of platform, which we see, of course, a ton more later, Namek Saga, Frieza, everything. And even in the afterlife, later on with Goku, part of it filler in what we're seeing right now in Kai at the beginning of the Buu Saga World Tournament saga type of thing. So it's not my favorite, but it is pretty incredible when you consider where we start off and where we go to. This one for me is difficult to kind of give my opinion on how much I enjoy it, because the thing is with me is when I was younger and I watched this part of Dragon Ball Z, I didn't have cable. I just had regular air television. And they would just play this over and over and over and over again. I think it was the Ocean dub I was watching here in Canada. And this might just be me. This might not apply to you at all. If you had cable and your parents got that for you, or satellite or whatever, you're lucky. Because, when you're at school and you just can't wait to get home to see the next episode of Dragon Ball on Teletoon or whatever, Toonami or whatever you have in your country. Because who knows where you watch this from. Could be Japan or wherever. But yeah, for me personally, it sucked because I always had to watch this over again. When it got to the end, I hoped they would go forward with the Frieza Saga, because they did part of the Namek Saga too, Captain Ginyu and all that Ginyu Force. But then they'd get to a certain point and they'd start over again, and they'd do it again, and they'd do it again, and they'd do it again. They did that for 3 years. So I was just, every time I was like, oh man, I hope they got the new episodes, because my parents weren't getting cable. There's no way I could talk them into it. So I would hope, and then we wouldn't. I would hope, and we wouldn't. I would hope, and we wouldn't. So I just started going to my friend's house to watch the rest of the series, because I didn't get it after school. Anyway, so for me, this one I'm not as fond of because I've seen it way too many times, an unhealthy amount of times. I've probably seen it every episode at least 6 to 7 times over. It's disgusting. So nowadays I can't watch it. I've seen it too much. I don't enjoy it that much anymore because I just, too many times. But anyway, it is a fantastic saga. Some of the fighting is great. Some of the techniques are really different, really cool. And I love the way this one focuses on team fights, which later on we don't see that many of. This one really has, a big team-oriented battle, which is really cool to see all these different, characters. Krillin getting in there, and Gohan and Piccolo, and now Gohan becomes Uzaru, and Goku's finally arrives, and some really great stuff in the Saiyan Saga. So to give it a score, overall, I guess as a saga, I'm going to give this one. I guess I'll do 8.5 out of 10. It's incredible. It depends. Like, are you comparing it to other cartoons and anime, or are you comparing it to itself on the same scale? I think it's fair to give it an 8.5 out of 10 for like a Dragon Ball Z scale. Because I think some of the others pushed it higher and are even better. But we'll talk about that in later reviews. If you guys like the video, feel free to click the like the video. If you want to help support the channel, add it to favorites, share it on your Facebook if you want to. And yeah, that's it for my review for the Saiyan Saga. Let me know what you guys thought about the Saiyan Saga. I know we're going way back. It's a throwback type review. So let me know what you thought. Let me know what your favorite parts were in it. And I'll probably go sequentially, so one saga at a time for the Dragon Ball Z reviews. But if you guys do want to see the rest, one saga at a time all the way through Dragon Ball Z, and somebody requested I review Dragon Ball, the original anime. Let me know if there's enough people that are interested in that, and I will. Write in the comments. I do read the comments for these videos, especially because I want to know if there's enough interest. So anyway, I'll call it here. That's it for my sort of overview of the Saiyan Saga review. And I'll see you guys for the next one. This is Trev, as always.